my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to talk about 2022 and why I think it could be a special year. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video. If you end up liking it, make sure to leave your thoughts and opinions and information in the comments below. Also make sure to share this with anyone that finds this kind of thing interesting. So I was thinking about this year. I've been thinking about it for a while because earlier on in the channel is when I started learning about the Jewish feast days. And as part of that study, I learned that right now in 2022, so from roughly from September of 2021 until September of 2022, it's a sabbatical year on the Hebrew calendar, or otherwise known as a shmita. Okay, and so you'll see here in column F, I have this is a tracker, okay, that I put together to look at shmita years and also to track the Feast of First Fruits, as well as Easter, as well as well, I'll get into this in just a minute. But I was thinking about how, okay, this year is a shmita year, and we've talked a lot on the channel about how certain things happen during these appointed times, the Jewish feast days. All of them together are referred to as the Moedim, and you have the 4 feast days that are in the spring, and then you have 3 that are in fall. What I want to focus on in this video are 3 that are in spring. I'm leaving out the 4th because it's not really applicable to what we're talking about here. But I want to talk about Passover, okay, and then the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and the Feast of First Fruits. Now, I'm going to explain this all, just kind of cover it, just in case you're new to the topic or if you're new to the channel. So I'm going to define all the terms first so you can understand what we're going over. So 1, we just talked about the Shemitah year. A Shemitah year is essentially, it's like if you turn the years into days, then so like each year is like a work day. And then on the 7th year, it's like the Sabbath. And so they treat the whole year as a type of Sabbath year, or in other words, a sabbatical year. And there's certain laws, like Jewish laws and things, of what you can and can't do during that year. But one of the main features is that, at least in Israel, no agricultural work is done during a Shemitah year. The land rests. So it's a year of rest, okay? And so it's a special year because we know that the Sabbath is a special day. And so Shemitah years are special years. And, okay, so that's a Shemitah. Now, I'm going to go here column by column. In the first column, this is kind of similar to my phrase tracker, where I've been tracking the phrases that come up in General Conference. Over here in column A, I have whoever was the president of the church at the time. Column B is the year. Column C is the Feast of First Fruits. Column D is Easter on the Western calendar. And I'm using the Western calendar because it seems like that's the one that the Lord is using. The reason why I say that is because we recently did a video about Elijah and how when he came to the Kirtland Temple, it was during Passover, or the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And the day that he came, it happened to fall on the Feast of First Fruits. Now, I'm going to explain this whole thing because it's kind of confusing if you're not familiar with how this week goes, the week of Passover. But he came on the Feast of First Fruits. And on that particular day, not only was it the Feast of First Fruits, but it was also Easter on the Western calendar. On the Eastern calendar, they had Easter on a different day. So he came on Easter on the Western calendar. So that's why I'm using that in this tracker. Okay. Now, this column let me explain this. The week that Christ was crucified, you had, let me pull up this calendar. It's kind of hard to explain. You have to kind of see it. Okay, so here we have our calendar, okay? Like, the first full day of Passover happened on a Sabbath, okay? So Christ was crucified on a Friday, which was the 14th of Nisan. So this is the day that the lamb for the Passover meal is slaughtered, and then that night at sundown starts the first day of this week, right? And they have the Passover meal. So that's where you get the Feast of Passover that happens on this day. It's an actual meal. So this configuration where the 14th of Nisan is on Friday, and then the first day of Passover is on Saturday, and then the Feast of First Fruits is on the Sunday right after, the day that he was resurrected. This doesn't happen every year. Sometimes, okay, so we just talked about the Passover meal. That's always on this day here. Gosh, it's so hard to explain because, so in other words, on our calendar, if you were looking at it with Western eyes, non-Jewish eyes, the Feast of Passover would always happen on this day right here. If you're looking at it from a Jewish sense, after sundown, that's when the day starts, and so that's when they eat the Passover meal. So there's the Passover meal, and then you have this whole week right here, and the whole week is referred to as the Feast of Unleavened Bread, meaning that during this observance that runs for this length of time, they don't eat anything that has leaven in it. Okay, so the Feast of Passover on this first day, the whole time frame here, the whole week, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and then on the Sunday or the day after the first Sabbath during this observance, that's the day that the Feast of First Fruits happens. Okay, where they offer up their first fruits of the harvest, the best. Okay, so in this year, in 1995, this matched up with that last week of Christ's life, where the 14th of Nisan was on Friday, the 15th of Nisan was on Saturday, the 16th of Nisan was on Sunday. Now, if we were to look at 1996, well, it's different. The 14th of Nisan is on Wednesday, the 15th of Nisan is on Thursday, and the 16th of Nisan is on Friday. See, so it does not match the last week of Christ's life. And in this particular year, okay, so you would have the Passover feast here this night on the 3rd, and then you would have this whole week of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and then you would have the first fruits on the day after the first Sabbath. So for them, the Sabbath is on Saturday, and so they would have it here on the 18th of Nisan, or on our calendar, the 7th. Okay, so the Passover feast, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the whole thing, and then the Feast of First Fruits on this Sunday. And so the Feast of First Fruits is always on a Sunday, because Sunday always comes after Saturday. And so it's supposed to be done the day after Sabbath, so it's always on a Sunday. Okay, so what I did is I tracked which years matched the week of Christ's the week of Christ's crucifixion. And it happens, it's not like completely frequent, but here you can see it here. So let's look at this column E. So in 1900, it matched. Okay, this would have been the same as the week of Christ's crucifixion. But the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, it did not match. And then on that 7th year, it matched again. Okay? Now, over here, the day of first fruits and the day of Easter usually match up. Usually. So in the year 1900, they both matched up. 1901, they both matched up. But in 1902, they were off. They were not on the same day. Normally, they are on the same day. But occasionally, they're not on the same day, right? Because Easter is a Christian holiday, and First Fruits is a Jewish observance and a feast. And Easter is basically, you know, it commemorates that First Fruits Day when he was resurrected. But because the world of Christianity calculates it differently, it doesn't always fall on the same day as First Fruits. Okay, so what I did here is when all of it matches down here, okay, so First Fruits matches with Easter, and it's during a week that is similar or the same as the last week of Christ's life, then I have it in all green. Okay, so the Y stands for yes, it's a match to Christ last week. So these are all, so this seems to kind of all be in sync. In this year, oh sorry, I should have actually changed the color on this. That's supposed to be dark. Here, nothing really matches. It was a shmita year, but the week did not match the last week of Christ's life. And then First Fruits and Easter were not on the same day. Okay? In this year, 1904, First Fruits and Easter were on the same day, but the week did not match that last week of Christ's life. Okay, so hopefully you kind of get it. So starting in 1900, and I plan to go back probably into the 1700s, but it kind of takes a long time to do this. Not terribly long, but it's going to take some more time. So with what I have right now, the first time that we come up with a year where everything matches is 1917. First Fruits and Easter are on the same day. The week matches the week of Christ's life, and it's a shmita year. So I highlighted it in dark green. Okay, and this is mostly what we're going to be paying attention to here, because it would seem to me that when all of this is the same, that might be a prime time for the Lord to do something, because we know that Elijah came in these latter days during the Feast of First Fruits. We know that Joseph Smith received the gold plates on the Feast of Trumpets, which was a fall feast, also known as Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so it makes sense that if something happens going forward, like whenever Adamon Dayamin is held, or other special events, that the Lord might choose, you know, these special times to do it, right? So, so I'm calling 1917 a pretty special year just because they all match up. Now let's keep going up. Okay, here we have another one in 1924 where everything matches up, right? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, now we have to go about 14 more years later, and then we come across another one in 1938 where all four of these columns match up. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, now you can see we're not finding any. It's been quite a while since we've seen one of those years. So far, since 1900, so far, there's only been 1, 2, 3 of these years where it's a shmita year, and then the week matches the last week of Christ's life. First Fruits and Easter match up. There's only been 3 so far from 1938 as we're looking at this together. Okay, you keep going. Keep going. Now we're in the 90s. Still nothing. Still nothing. Now, one thing to point out, look at this big block of red right here. From 1999 until 2011, a big red block where all these years in a row, we don't have a week that matches Christ's last week. So that's, I don't know, that's kind of weird. It's kind of interesting. Okay, now, 2015. Finally, 2015, we finally have one of these special years. Okay? Remember, the last one is all the way down here in 1938. And I did the calculation, and that was a space of 77 years. Which I think is kind of interesting and probably not coincidental. I don't know what it means necessarily, but if it means anything at all, it may not mean anything, but having that 77 signature right there tends to make me think that there might be something to it. So 77 years go by, and then finally we have another one of these special times. And this was during President Monson's presidency. Okay, a little bit more toward the end. Well, and then let's bring us up to present, and then we have another one this year in 2022. Everything matches across the board. And then after that, we're going to have a big red block of no's until 2029, where we have another one of these special years. And then in 2036, there's going to be another one. And then as far as I went so far is 2024, or 2040, sorry. So I want to, extend this and see what things look like as I go further back in time and further forward in time. But I think that it's really interesting that there's that 77-year gap, and then finally we have this again. Because remember, 1936, what did things look like in 1936? I'm just going to pull up some random pictures. Okay, here you go. This was the world in 1936. This was the world in 1936. Look at this. All it's bringing up is just Olympics. Right? 1936. So a long freaking time went by before we saw another one of these special years. Okay, I think that's something to consider. Now, starting with 2015, it does suddenly become more frequent, and I don't know what will happen as the years go by after 2040. So maybe I'll try and see that. But so there you go. So this year, the shmita, like I said, it started September of last year and it goes until September of this year. So that means that the spring feasts this year fall within this time frame of the shmita. So could it be that something will happen this year? I don't know. I can't say. But if something did happen, it would probably... I feel like this is like a really good indicator that something could happen. Otherwise, we might have to wait until here, or maybe shmitas don't even matter that much. But I tend to think that they do, because I did, go back all the way to what did I go to? 1800. Now look at this. I think that there could be something when it comes to shmitas and events that happen in our church. And let me show you. So 1805, that's the year that Joseph Smith was born, and the shmita year ended in September of 1805. So the shmita ended, and then after that, a couple months later, Joseph Smith was born. Okay, you come up here, we have a shmita year in 1819. And then the year after that, we have the first vision. Okay, so shmita, event, shmita, event. And then in 1826, the shmita year, and the next year, Joseph Smith gets the gold plates. Okay, and then after that, here in 1847, well, first, the Nauvoo Temple was dedicated the year before, but during this shmita right here is when we have Pioneer Day, when the saints arrived to the Salt Lake Valley. And that was a huge event because essentially, what the pioneers went through is compared to the Exodus. President Nelson compared it to the Exodus. In fact, hold on, let me pull this up. At the time, he was Elder Nelson. Elder Nelson, Exodus talk. The Exodus repeated. So, in this talk right here, I already did a video about this, so I would encourage you to watch it. One of the most fascinating things that he says here, in my mind, let me see if I can find it, is, so he's contrasting the Exodus to this modern day Exodus, where the saints made their way to Utah and were led by Brigham Young, how Brigham Young was like the Moses. Okay, so he brings this up right here. The Israelites gratefully celebrated their exodus from Egypt. The Latter-day Saints commemorated their exodus with the establishment of the world headquarters of the restored church in the tops of the mountains. And he brings up Jeremiah 23, 7 through 8 to illustrate that, as though to say that this prophecy has been completed. Jeremiah 23, 7 through 8. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries whither I have had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Now, I think that that's stunning, because I think that he's equating this right here, Israel out of the north country, being Europe. Those are the northern countries. Of course, there's other theories about this, but he's using this. He's comparing this Exodus to this. There's a lot of times people will insert words right here and say, this right here, verse 8, will be more miraculous, more spectacular, grander in scale, stuff like that. But that's not what it says. All it says is that they shall no more say. And that's right, because the Jews, they continue to commemorate the Exodus. They do that with the Jewish feast days, as a matter of fact. But because we're a New Testament people and Christ has come, we don't do that anymore. And now that the church has been restored in these last days, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the gathering of scattered Israel, and we've been going all over the world to find them. The initial parts of the church, the initial stages of the church, were heavily influenced by Europe, especially the British Isles. But many of the saints came from these north countries and helped bolster the church and its numbers, and they immigrated to wherever they were. And then the Exodus finally ended once they reached the Salt Lake Valley. And that's where they currently are. That's where church headquarters is. So I think that this is pretty stunning. I do think that this is how President Nelson views this scripture. I don't think that he believes that the 10 lost tribes are in outer space or translated or caught up, or that they're in inner Earth or under the polar ice caps or anything like that. In fact, he I don't know, with a lot of the things that he was talking about in this last European devotional, it really seems like Europe are these north countries that's referred to. So anyway, going back here, so that was like a really important event. And I think President Nelson, he highlights that here, how this was basically the completion of our modern day Exodus, and it happened during a Shemitah year of all times. I think that's highly significant. And then after that, I put in here the Salt Lake Temple dedication, but that didn't match up. And then I did the family proclamation, the family proclamation to the world. And this follows that pattern where the year before was a Shemitah, and then after that, this happened. So there is kind of somewhat of a pattern where you have a Shemitah and then something happens. And then in the case of the pioneers entering the Salt Lake Valley, it actually happened during that Shemitah. Now, why is it that we have these things occurring the year after the Shemitah rather than in the Shemitah? Well, let me propose this. If there is significance to this, well, just like how we no longer have Saturday as the Sabbath, now Sunday is the Sabbath, maybe that's how the Lord kind of views the Shemitahs now. Like, even though they're probably still considered special years, in these latter days when we recognize Sunday as the Sabbath, maybe the Shemitah year for us is now the year after the Shemitah year, right? So let's just call the Shemitah Saturday, and then let's call this Sunday. So Saturday, and then on Sunday, Joseph Smith was born. Saturday, and then on Sunday, the first vision. Saturday, and then Sunday, the gold plates were given to Joseph Smith. Now, on Saturday, we have the pioneers making their way into the Salt Lake Valley. And then up here with the proclamation, Saturday, and then Sunday, we have the proclamation to the world. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, I think I'm going to go all the way back at least until the year 1700, just so we have a better picture. And then I'll see if I can go forward in time. The only thing is I'll find a calendar and I'll figure it out. I've been using this Wikipedia article that has all the Easter dates laid out really nicely, going back really far. But going forward, I'm going to have to find another website to do that and do it more manually. So I don't know. You'll have to let me know what you think. Is this year 2022? Is this a special year? Or is it going to be next year, the Sunday, right? Because right now we're in Saturday, so to speak, in terms of years. Is it going to be maybe the Sunday that something happens? Or maybe nothing will happen at all. I don't know. But this is something to probably maybe keep in mind. I feel like this year is special simply because of the events of 2020. We're in between the two great American eclipses, right? Interestingly, in 2024, the year of the second eclipse, nothing matches up. First fruits, Easter, it's not a Shemitah year, and the week of Passover doesn't match up with the last week of Christ's life. So I don't know, but whatever the case, we're not going to have another year like this until 2029. Okay. All right, so that's all I have. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it. Make sure to leave your thoughts and opinions and any information down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share this with anyone that you think might find this interesting, and I'll talk to you guys later.